Go on, Janice.
Some of these are very old, and some of them are pretty new. One of them I wrote today, actually. It's November, and November is a gloomy month for me, not least because next week it's my birthday. Now some time ago, and I won't tell you how long ago it was, I wrote this. Now we are 63. What's a birthday for? Another grey November day. What's a birthday for? Memento mori, as they say. What's a birthday for? Another anniversary come round too fast. What's a birthday for? Another year of life gone streaming past. What's a birthday for? To celebrate I now have 3 keys to the door, that I'm soon to be 4 sheets to the wind, or that you'll still love me when I'm 64. November's also the month that my mother had her birthday, and it was the month that she died. So I always try to read something about her if I'm reading in November. Now this little poem really sums up a lot about my mother. It's called Retirement Plans. When I grow old, said my mother, I'll change my life. I'll rent a garret on the left bank of the Seine in Paris. Give up being a mother and a wife. Spend my days painting. Drink red wine at night. My friends will be artists. Maybe I'll write. But what about Dad? I objected. My mother reflected. He'll be okay, she said. He'll buy a jalaba, sandals, a scarab, and live in the desert, along with the Arabs. He's learning the lingo at evening class. He'll go over to Gaza. I thought, what a gas. I'll spend April in Paris, winter with Dad. There was going to be some fun to be had. I hoped that my parents' dreams all would come true, but after all that, they just moved down to Bude. And of course, in November you get days like this. It was one of those days when the mirror scowled back, and the clothes in the wardrobe looked shabby and black, when my hair behaved wildly and wouldn't lie down, so I looked rather like a pathetic old clown. The day when the lawn nagged me, please cut me, please, and there wasn't a leaf on the wintry trees. A day when the weather was cloudy and freezing, and the car, when it started, was coughing and wheezing, and all of the people I passed in the street looked like serial killers I'd rather not meet, and the lights were all red, and I crawled along sadly, and I knew that this day could only end badly. When I drove out of town and I heard sirens howl. Was I speeding? Okay, and I threw in the towel. Now here, those are all old poems. I'm going to read you a pretty recent poem. Actually, Wanda has heard this, or a version of this before, because I wrote it in response to a workshop that Lisa Kelly runs here on Saturday of the month, and she suggested we try at home to write about dictators. Now, I don't know much about dictators, but I had a go. On dictators. I grew up with dictators, as everybody does. Small, mostly benevolent dictators, parents and school teachers. I lived with distant, malevolent dictators, Hitler, Mussolini and Stalin, and even more distant, invisible dictators, like the God of the Bible stories, poised to deliver retribution to any who disobey the diktats of his morality, threatening constant vigilance. I rebelled, as everybody does, against parents' dictatorship, sidestepped their demands, which I found were not accompanied with real threats if unmet. Other powerful forces dealt with Hitler. God died as I forged my own morality and foiled the phantom's inquisitive eye. But now I know that dictators die, but dictatorship is a miasma, hovering, poised to infect the next opposer of any human attempt to be free. This is another quite old poem. In another life, literally in another life, I lived in Bangladesh, and my ex-husband did nothing but work, and we did nothing at all together. I did nothing at all, except paint a bit. And we did nothing at all together, except in the evenings we would play Scrabble. So this is a sequence that I wrote. I haven't brought it all. There's just 2 bits of it I brought. A couple of short poems that sort of write me into it. Tankers, Scrabble tankers. They build words in turn, relate their differences. Life is not their dream. Scatter pieces, end the game. Love, exit, both possible. Loyal to his needs, weeping for a child, she pivots between life and love. In a maze, a mist, a dream. Never exit, nor ask why. All the words for that are in a Scrabble game.
Really?
2. Scrabble. Each night they exchange words, keep the score. Tonight she starts alone. Across it he plays loyal. She adds weeping. He begs why, and her reply is baby. He asks please. She counters never. He mentions weather. Her answer is a mist. He gives her ring, but her retort is iced. He insists upon the quest. She returns her dream. He adds an L, an I, an F, and parries, that is life. And still the Z, the X, a V, are waiting on their wooden racks. Perhaps to leave this maze, he'll use the V to make love. Block her urge to exit, add C and E to that, and maybe, tonight, he'll scatter board and counters, forget the Scrabble, play another game. There we are, back at marriage, back at relationships. This is my mother again. It's called Change of Life. He's turning into his own father, complained my mother. I thought about my late grandfather, grumbling, deaf and blind, roll up on his sagging lip, always up for an argument, unable to hear or care about the other point of view. I thought about my father, mild, unaggressive, peaceful. Was I missing something? He's getting more right-wing every day, she said. Grandpa was a working-class Tory of the worst kind. I can tell. Your father's going the same way. I felt my mother had a hidden agenda. My father, secretary of their local Labour Party. Men, she said. That's when I realised my mother was turning into her mother. It was one of those days. One of those days when the mirror smiled back and the wardrobe reached out and said, wear this, it suits you. One of those days when my hairstyle worked, first attempt. A day when the uncut grass in the garden was lush, not unkempt. One of those days when the traffic lights all turned green as I passed, and the streets were all full of potential friends. A day when the trees were heavy with gold and the hands of the clock swept round its face and kept time with my song, and I danced right through one of those days. 2 more poems. Animal psychology. Now I know animals do have psychology and they do have psychologists, but mostly it's dogs and ponies that get the psychologists. I don't think cats allow it. But here is a poem about other animal psychology. Wanderlust is not uncommon amongst hamsters, since they first perfected travelling on wheels. Schadenfreude is a trait that some rabbits, 1 in 8, will admit to, with vicious little squeals. Claustrophobia is a problem for the ferret. For them, travelling in trousers makes them sick. Hysteria is found in many moles underground, so they have to dig their tunnels very quick. Glaukenstücke is what every goldfish feels when it knows it has been revelling too much in the sufferings of flatfish who are bullied by the catfish, or the battered cod the cat won't even touch. Aphasia can be fatal in a parrot. Dyspraxia affects 1 snake in 3. Guinea pigs who can't relax get mild panic attacks, but respond quite well to water therapy. And last is my newest poem that I wrote today. It's called How to Make a Pie Out of Politics. Take a pack of dissatisfaction spiced with poverty, a basinful of tough austerity cuts, and a jug of smooth talk. Mix the dry ingredients in a large container. A government building will usually supply this. Then drip the talk into the mixture, gradually increasing the flow until a firm constituency is formed. Stir in 1 or 2 tax cuts to taste, do not overdo, and a generous handful of promises. Beat until the mixture looks solid. Spoon into popular media, cover with a tissue of lies, and half-bake the pie in a referendum. Try not to burn your fingers as you remove the lid. Allow to cool. Serves nobody.